All right, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. Jim Ventura here, navigational consultant, professional astrologer, metaphysical expert. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about some numerology of the upcoming year. Oh, well, you're in it now. It is 2023, it is January. So the universal numerology year for this year is a 7. Now, I was going to explain a little bit about what to do with that. Now, if you look at your personal numerology cycles, which are actually pretty easy to calculate, you can get even a more specific vibe to the year that you're in. We move through 1 through 9 year cycles. But there is also the universal year, which kind of affects everyone. So again, in this year, 2023 is a 7. Let's talk a little bit about that. So in those cyclical patterns, kind of just some good suggestions on what you might want to do this year that will kind of vibe in a fluid kind of a way. So 7 years are like years to kind of pause and reflect. Look at your progress. Do you need to reset goals at this point? Or do you need to stay on track and persevere? So taking some time for reflection and pause can be very wise. Good thing to consider doing this year. I like to call the 7 year a year of refinement. It's kind of a good year to weed out aspects of either yourself or the world or things around you that are no longer working. More on that in a minute. 7 year can be a great year for study and learning, whether through traditional schooling or through non-traditional schooling. You can learn online. There's lots of different ways to learn. I teach classes as well. You get info on that at jimventura.com. But it is a good kind of vibe year for gaining new knowledge as well. Whichever road you take to do that, it can be very, very useful. But when I get into the idea of weeding out, that can be kind of twofold. It can be looking at attributes of the self, parts of your being that may have been valid for a while that no longer fit who you are and who you're becoming. So again, that's part of that refinement. Don't think of it as like aspects of the self that no longer fit, that you're just not congruent with. And also that may include your social circle, people around you. Sometimes, again, the older you get, you begin to see this. Sometimes, as much as you want to stay friends with people for decades, and sometimes we do, and that's awesome. Sometimes we outgrow people and vice versa. We're not on the same page, and it's okay to make those shifts in a healthy, appropriate way when that's necessary. So another great vibe for the 7 year is excellent year for meditation and spiritual awareness. Even if you don't know how to meditate, lots of ways to learn how to do that through books, online, just learning how to quiet the mind and take some time for meditation. It's one of those type of things that people throw around until you actually do it, and then you begin to understand how valuable this is to know how to be quiet and to listen to your own internal knowing, or even the voice of the trees and the birds and the animals and the signs that are around us. Those become more heightened when we take some time to meditate, even just a few minutes a day. So great year for that. Again, as we talked about with the weeding out idea, 7 year can be a great year for health and wellness, looking at the food we're taking in, whether we're exercising and taking care of our body in a proper way. A lot of times when I tell clients about numerology cycles, if we're not really working on that, in some respects all the time, or especially again during a 7 year, it could end up manifesting as illness or problems, and then we're kind of forced to do it. So take a little bit more of an aggressive, assertive posture to it maybe for the 7 year, and make a decision about getting healthier and stronger, and again, prioritizing wellness. So what you really find at the 7 years, it's like a preparation for an 8 year. And in the 7 year, again, weeding out, refinement, clearing away, readjusting. The 8 year often can be a year of success and money and power, influence and achievement and mastery. So you can kind of almost see how these cyclical vibes work where, yes, you're going to clear things out first, get new knowledge, learn, kind of rewire the self in a way for potential preparation for more success in the 8 year to come. Not that you can't have success in the 7 year as well. So last thing I would say to consider, just for the 7 year, this is something I went through. I went through a personal 7 year myself about 2-3 years ago, and this really strong awareness came on that I had part viewpoints on already, but it really became clear, especially in 2020 or so for me. You know, for a lot of us, we get very caught in our religious beliefs or familial beliefs or what we've told about who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to think. You can see this a lot politically, where people are extreme on the left or the right, and there's a tendency to kind of follow the party line no matter what. You know, I'm not telling anybody which way to go with religion, politics, science, all these things, and even your spiritual self, but there can be a real healthy wisdom and looking at other perspectives and ideas, both with people around you and even in terms of research, to get a more balanced point of view. I think it's a big factor in why people are so at each other's throats in this day and age, because no one respects a different point of view or just a perspective in general. So if you want to see that change in the world, you got to kind of make that change. And it doesn't mean you have to leave what you value and matters to you, but bring in some perspective on other points of view, just to kind of even and balance out. It's almost like being too male or too female or too spiritual or not spiritual enough. I think there's something to the wisdom of finding a little bit of a healthy middle ground, for a lot of different reasons, even if it's just for balance. So yeah, good couple of suggestions for the 7 year, to consider, just to kind of get in that harmony of that vibe of seven. And again, personal numerology is a big help also. If you like the videos, subscribe. And again, information about the classes I do, personal sessions, can be found at jimventura.com. And I really wish everybody a great start to 2023. Let's have a good year ahead. Cheers.